Learn English with simple yet effective English podcasts and practice with PDFs in each lesson.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the English Learning Podcast. I'm Steve, your host, and with me today is my amazing co-host, Gwen.
Hey, Steve. Hey, everyone. We're so excited to have you here with us today.
Before we get into that, I just want to say a big thanks to all of our listeners. We have received so much love and support from all of you guys. And as always, in this episode, we have golden tips and secret tips coming in the video. If you want to get the free PDF and practice, just write down PDF in the comment section. Okay, if you struggle with thinking in English, this episode is just for you.
That's right. Have you ever found yourself translating every word in your head before speaking? It really slows you down, right?
Exactly. Many English learners face this issue. They think in their native language first, then translate into English. By the time they're ready to speak, the moment has passed.
But don't worry. Today, we'll show you how to train your brain to think directly in English, just like a native speaker.
And trust me, once you start thinking in English, everything becomes easier. Speaking, listening, even writing.
So if you've ever wondered how to stop translating and start thinking in English naturally, stay with us. We've got some powerful techniques to share.
Let's dive in. Gwen, let's start with the big question. Why is thinking in English so important for learners?
Great question, Steve. The truth is, if you always think in your native language first and then translate, you'll never speak fluently.
It creates a delay. Your brain is working twice as hard, first forming a sentence in your native language, then trying to find the right English words. And sometimes, the translation doesn't even make sense.
Oh, absolutely. Like if someone translates, "I am cold," word for word, from another language, they might say, "I have cold," which sounds unnatural in English.
Right. That's why thinking in English helps. It trains your brain to form sentences naturally, without getting stuck on translation.
And let's talk about confidence. When you start thinking in English, you feel more confident because words come to you faster.
Yes. No more long pauses to translate in your head. You'll respond more naturally and smoothly.
Another big reason? It improves your listening skills. When you think in English, your brain processes conversations faster, so you understand people better.
And not just in conversations. When watching movies or listening to music, you start recognizing words instantly instead of translating everything.
Oh, and let's not forget, it also helps with pronunciation.
Thinking in English helps you hear sounds the way native speakers say them, which makes your pronunciation clearer.
So, to sum up, thinking in English helps you speak faster, boosts confidence, improves listening skills, and even enhances pronunciation.
Now, you might be wondering, okay, I get why it's important, but how do I actually train my brain to think in English?
Don't worry. We're going to break it down step by step. But first, let's talk about some common mistakes that stop people from thinking in English.
Right. Many learners don't even realize they're making these mistakes. But once you fix them, you'll see a big improvement in your fluency.
So, mistake number 1, the biggest one, relying too much on translation. If you always translate in your head before speaking, your brain never gets used to thinking in English directly.
Exactly. It's like riding a bike with training wheels forever. You need to trust your brain to form sentences naturally, instead of always looking for a translation.
Another common mistake: focusing too much on grammar while thinking. Many learners try to make every sentence perfect before speaking, but that actually slows them down.
Oh, yeah. Grammar is important, but if you stop to check every little rule, you'll never speak naturally. Even native speakers don't think about grammar while talking.
Right. And guess what? Even native speakers make grammar mistakes sometimes. So true. Okay, mistake number 3. Fear of making mistakes. Some people are so afraid of saying something wrong that they stop themselves from speaking altogether. But mistakes are how we learn. The more you practice thinking in English, the better you get. Don't be afraid to sound imperfect. Fluency comes with practice, not perfection.
Absolutely. And another mistake that blocks thinking in English? Not surrounding yourself with English.
Right. If your daily life is full of your native language, your brain will naturally default to it instead of English.
Great point. If you only use English in a classroom or for studying but not in daily life, your brain won't switch to English naturally.
Exactly. That's why immersion is so important. Listening to English music, watching videos, and reading in English all help.
Right. Now, let's quickly recap the biggest mistakes that stop you from thinking in English. Relying too much on translation. Overthinking grammar while forming sentences. Fear of making mistakes. Not surrounding yourself with enough English.
If you're making any of these mistakes, don't worry. The good news is, we're going to show you how to fix them.
Yes. Up next, we'll share some powerful step-by-step strategies to help you start thinking in English naturally.
Let's get into it. First, how can learners actually train their brain to think in English?
We're breaking it down into simple, powerful steps that anyone can follow.
Perfect. Step 1. Name things around you in English.
Oh, I love this one. It's such an easy habit to build. Just look around and name objects in English. Bed, window, lamp, phone.
Exactly. And to take it further, describe what's happening. Instead of just thinking, cup, say, I am drinking coffee from my cup.
Yes. This helps your brain connect everyday life with English, making it more natural over time.
Step 2. Talk to yourself in English. It might feel strange at first, but it's one of the best ways to start thinking in English.
Right. You can do this anywhere, while cooking, getting dressed, or walking outside. Just describe what you're doing. I'm putting on my shoes. It's a sunny day.
And the great thing is, there's no pressure. No one is listening. Just you training your brain to use English naturally.
Exactly. Step 3. Use an English-to-English dictionary.
Oh, this is a game changer. Many learners still use bilingual dictionaries, but switching to an English dictionary helps you think in English instead of translating.
For example, instead of translating excited to your native language, look it up in English, where it says, feeling very happy and eager.
That way, your brain connects words in English, not another language.
Step 4. Think in simple sentences first, like instead of thinking, I should go to the store because I need to buy some vegetables for dinner. Just start with, I need vegetables.
Plus, it improves your vocabulary naturally.
Now, let's move on to Step 5. Have an English inner voice. Instead of thinking in your native language, try having a little conversation in English in your head.
For example, if you're planning your day, think, what should I do first? Maybe I'll start with breakfast.
It's like turning your thoughts into an English dialogue. It's one of the fastest ways to start thinking. In English, effortlessly.
And you can even ask yourself questions in English, like, how do I feel today? Or, what should I wear?
That's a great habit. And finally, Step 6. Surround yourself with English.
Yes. The more you expose yourself to English, the more natural it becomes. Listen to English podcasts, watch videos, and read books or articles in English.
That's right. The more English you hear, the more your brain starts thinking in English automatically.
Let's quickly recap the 6 steps to train your brain to think in English. Name things around you in English. Talk to yourself in English. Use an English to English dictionary. Think in simple sentences first. Have an English inner voice. Surround yourself with English.
These steps will help you stop translating and start thinking in English naturally.
And the best part? You can start practicing these today.
Up next, we'll talk about daily exercises to make thinking in English a permanent habit. All right, we've talked about strategies to start thinking in English, but now let's take it one step further. How can learners practice this every day and make it a habit?
Yes, because just knowing the techniques isn't enough. You need to practice consistently to train your brain to think in English naturally.
Exactly. So let's share some simple daily exercises that will help learners develop this skill.
First, start and end your day with English thoughts. The moment you wake up, try to describe your plans for the day in English.
Yes, instead of thinking in your native language, say in your mind, "Today is Monday. I have a meeting at 10 a.m. I will have lunch with my friend."
And at night, do the same. Before sleeping, review your day in English. What did I do today? Did I enjoy it?
This helps your brain switch to English mode at the beginning and end of the day.
The second daily practice. Set a no translation rule for at least 30 minutes a day.
Oh, I love this one. For those 30 minutes, challenge yourself to think only in English, no translating.
Yes, it might be difficult at first, but even if you struggle, just try. The more you practice, the easier it gets.
Next, talk to yourself in English out loud for a few minutes every day.
Right. Just like we mentioned earlier, describe what you're doing. I'm making tea. It smells so good. I will drink it while reading a book.
The key is to make English part of your daily routine, even if no one is around to listen.
Another great way to practice? Use English while doing simple activities like cooking, driving, or exercising.
Yes. Instead of letting your mind wander, focus on thinking in English. If you're going for a walk, think. The weather is nice today. The sky is blue. I feel relaxed.
This is a great way to track your progress. And don't worry about grammar. Just focus on expressing yourself in English.
All right, let's quickly summarize these daily exercises. Start and end your day in English. Set a no translation rule for at least 30 minutes a day. Talk to yourself aloud in English. Use English during simple activities. Keep an English journal.
If you do these small exercises every day, thinking in English will become automatic over time. Now, to all our listeners, what's one tip from today's episode that you're going to try first?
Let us know in the comments or share your experience with us.
And if you found this episode helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our podcast for more English learning tips. Until then, happy learning.